Welcome to Becoming Parents Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Campbell. I'm a doula in Washoe County, Nevada, a Medicaid provider, a lactation educator, childbirth educator, and mom of 18. You can find me and connect on doulainreno.com. Remember, give a shout out to those who are brave enough to share their stories with us on how they have become parents. Let's dive in. Welcome to Becoming Parents. I'm your host, Jennifer Campbell, and I have Steve Puri on today. How are you today?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you.
Okay, good.
I'm really excited about your story and your business. And so I want to jump in and let you just share your parenting journey.
Okay, here we go. And as you have offered in the past when I've spoken, I will begin by framing it this way, which is I worked in entertainment and I worked in tech, right? Coming up into having a baby. And two careers that definitely can take a lot of time. Yeah. So I was not really focused on, let us have a baby. Let's, store eggs, sperm, any planning for any of that, right? Zero interest in that. It was all about, I want to be chairman of a studio. So as you know, I ended up executive vice president for Kurtz Mercy at DreamWorks, vice president Fox, did that Thursday. It is not a career where you're talking about having kids, making room in your life for being a good parent, period, full stop, right? And then working in tech, it's a badge of honor to talk about how hard you work. So that really came up for me because at one point with Laura, wifey, whom I adore, right? She's also has a great career, senior vice president at one of the major banks in the United States, has her shit going on, really respect her. And had this thought one day, as much as I don't like the idea of having kids, I feel like the world would be a better place if there are little versions of you running around.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, so let's put that out into the universe in some sort of energetic way. Like, I think maybe I'm open to this, whereas in the past, it was just like a conversation ender, right?
Yeah.
Not going there. So as the universe does, once you are open to something, it brings you things. So for example, one of my buddies from USC, where I went to undergraduate, was at the time, he was one of the top IVF guys in the country. Now he is retired because he's been bought out by a private equity firm, as they do, and rolling up all the IVF clinics, right? Exactly. So he very graciously, he met Laura. He was like, who the hell is this girl you're so serious about? Met her. It was like, oh, she is amazing. And our engagement gift, he said, I will do a free cycle of IVF for you as my gift to you, right? Which is awesome because he largely just did at this point Chinese clients because they would pay $100,000 a cycle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we did this with him before the pandemic, not knowing the pandemic was coming. So 2018, great. Thanks, Johnny. This is so exciting, blah, blah, blah. Laura, as it turns out, super fertile, like 99th percentile. Yeah. Why
did you decide to go IVF route instead of
just... a couple things. It was definitely something where probably my science mind was like, I would sure like to optimize, like if I could make sure we didn't have something to try something on 18 or 21 or 23, like any of that kind of stuff. And I'm not 21, I was like into my career. And at this point I was like, I have lived a life that's maybe not insanely healthy so far, between stress, working late, having fun, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, anything I can do to put my finger on the scale, like, let's have a healthy baby, I'm down, right? And Johnny's like, I got you, right?
Got it. Yeah.
So we do this thing. And, with both our careers, it was helpful to sort of time things as opposed to like, we're trying one of these months. It'll be the month that everything starts. It's more like, this would be really great with our schedule. And this is not romantic at all. I'm just being honest, okay?
It's not always romantic. It's okay.
It's not always romantic. So Laura in one cycle had 48 viable eggs, oocytes. Right? Exactly. You made the correct face. That's the right ridiculous face to make. I told you, 99th percentile. I meant those words. I use my words well. So yeah, which of course the harvesting was incredibly painful because it's like, hey, let me remove a massive amount of biomass from your ovaries. Yeah. It's not like one or two little puppies matured. Lots of them did, right? And her mother comes from a matriarchal line of like, we've got 4 kids in this family and 5 kids. That like, there was not a lot of concern, about that. So, boom, we fertilize not all of them because we don't want anything near 48A. You know what I mean? Like these are my, 2 football teams of children. Do you like them? Right.
Oh my
So
gosh.
we fertilized less than half, did all the screening that we could, ended up with 9 euploid blastocysts. So 5-day-old embryos, did the gender sorting, right? So we had 6 boys, 3 girls. There were healthy-ish looking embryos, right? Blastocysts. So we said, okay, we'll freeze the rest, or we'll donate the rest, to science or the embryologist to practice on, stuff like that. Because obviously we don't want to be greedy. We don't need, that many, right? Because we're going to get married like in a year or so and we'll have children. Wait for it. The pandemic happens. We don't get married in 2020. March 2020 was our wedding down in Cabo.
Perfect.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
Nailed
right?
it. Yep.
Yep. And, as you and I talked, we didn't really know how long this would go on. At the beginning of it, you're like, oh, this is terrible, but will it be over by fall? So we pushed our wedding to the fall of 2020. Obviously, that didn't work. The hotel and all the vendors, we had 23 vendors down in Cabo. They were very gracious about, okay, we'll move it to April of 2021. And how it was? It was like Delta and Omicron and this. And it's like, my father's older, her parents are older. Like, we didn't really want to do something where we're flying internationally and endangering people. So we're like, we'll just wait. It wasn't until April of 23 we finally got married.
Oh, good for you.
Right. And being maybe slightly traditionalist, we were like, we would like the order to be, we're married and we have kids, right?
Got it.
We have the luck of, the draw or the grace of God that we can actually like plan this and go like, let's get married, have a great wedding and do that. And Laura didn't want to be pregnant at the wedding, the whole thing of the wedding dress. She's like, can we just do it? And I was like, done. Right. So the hardest part of this is coming up, which is in that period of time, a private equity firm was rolling up a lot of the IVF clinics and the fertility clinics in general in anticipation of, the fertility pandemic that people don't talk about a lot because guys don't want to talk about infertility, that weirdness, but it's a thing. And they wisely were just buying up like crazy, bought him out. He started building a house in Greece and he cashed out to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, right? And so when we got married, it was like, oh, now we should think about having a child. His clinic's gone. Like our, the straws essentially that hold the embryos in liquid nitrogen, they're available, but he's not around to do it. So he's like, well, here's the company that bought it. So we thought, well, in this time we've moved to Texas. We'll have them shipped out. I'm sure it's a daily service that thousands of vendors do, shipping these things around the country. It's just like there's so many people doing it. And there are. We were arranged everything with the insurance company about sending them to Texas, had met with the, REI here, met with the embryologist here. And the day before they were supposed to come, get a call from the embryology lab. We can't accept them. What do you mean? We've come down, we've shaken hands. Like we've seen you, like what? They're like, oh, they're frozen on a type of straw that is called a cryotip, and we're not trained on them. How hard could this? I mean, I'm not a scientist here. How hard could this be? Like,
is there
I'm
a
not
YouTube
a
video?
But I can tell you how much my grocery bill is. Like, how hard could it be to open a straw? They're like, our insurance will not let us do it. We're just not trained on that. And they said, you're going to have a hard time in Texas finding anyone who is. They were right. Between myself and Progeny, the insurance, fertility administrator, we called 73 labs in Texas.
Oh,
Every
wow.
single one said, no, we're not trained. That's just not a thing here. It's like, I don't know, walking around Egypt with a 110 plug and everything is like 220. And you're just like, can I plug this in? They're like, you're not going to find that in this country. It's not how we work, right? So we ended up having to find an REI back in California and being like, hey, you don't know us, but we got these straws.
We
have
had to
these
show up with our
cryotips.
straws.
And pretty much, I mean, Jennifer, you're laughing, but it took about a month of just like dialing for dollars. You're just like calling through. Prodigy gave me lists of clinics. And they're like, here's the whole list for Orange County. Here's the list for LA County. Here's the list for, Ventura County.
Wow.
Found 2. I found one lab in Orange County and one lab in Los Angeles County. And wouldn't you know, one of the embryologists, because at this point, I had the lingo down. Like I'd
Yeah.
spoken to scores of people where it wasn't like, hi, I'm a dad with babies. You're like, listen, man, I got a cryo tip. I've got 5 euploid blastocysts. I got it. Here's the deal. So one of the embryologists, because I'd become accustomed to talking straight to the embryologist, said, our senior lab director is the one you want to talk to. I'm going to give you, connect you guys. He was involved in the development of the cryo tip.
Oh, thank goodness.
Praise the Lord. And he knew he's like, how many people did you call before me? I was like, I don't have enough fingers.
5,673.
Pretty much, exactly. If you've been to a conference in Vegas with all the REIs, ask them about me. They all know me now, right? So he was amazing. And in our entire journey, probably the best part of the entire journey was he knew everything. It was like, that story about like the old Porsche mechanic who could just put his hand on the hood and he could tell you like, oh, it's the third spark plug's dirty. So, and you're like, how did you know that? He's just like, I've done a lot of Porsche engines. Just trust me,
Yeah.
He was that guy. Absolutely amazing. And he was like, I got you. I know how hard it must have been. I have an REI. I will introduce you. We will do this. And guess what? One try, we are pregnant, having a baby in November. Yeah.
How do you
praise the Lord?
No kidding. I mean, absolutely. Praise the Lord on that one. Mm-hmm. And your story is so different because a lot of people, it's like we tried for a year to get pregnant, we couldn't. We weren't candidates for turkey basting.
I'm very grateful we did not have that story.
I mean, wow. So this is a very unique IVF story, and great because I went through infertility. And when I had 7-day surgeries, all the medication, almost a year, and the doctor said, the next step is IVF. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm out. And I ended up getting pregnant.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Because I just knew that wasn't my journey. I white flagged that. And I was like, I'm done. I'll either get pregnant on my own or I'll adopt, but that's not my journey. So you are like absolutely opposite of that. So
Correct.
that's super fascinating. And then you had to work so hard in different ways than most people on an infertility journey, like totally different.
Weird stuff.
Now, in the meantime, your she's doing the shots and she's getting her body ready.
Jennifer, she is so fertile. The first round, we were going to get, do the transfer, the implantation, we're going to call it, in January this year.
Okay.
And we had taken, given her the shots to sort of time her ovulation.
Yeah.
Her body was like, no, I'm going to ovulate right now. Over the suppressing shot, her body's just like, no, Tuesday is when I ovulate. Like, I really don't care what you're doing. It's like, that's so cute. The roadblock, I'm in a tank. I'm going to drive down this street, right? And yes, we missed January entirely because her body is just like completely, this is the way it works. Sorry, I win.
I mean, good for, don't we all wish we had that kind of problem? That's great.
Crazy stuff, yeah.
So you timed it off of her body then and flew to California.
We did. And we, dealing with the REI in California, we thought we had a little more agency. We thought it could be a little more like, hey, you know what? This is a good window. And she's like, just do these shots and it'll hit this day, and book her flights and the whole thing. And it was like, nope, let's try next month. And by the way, next month, let's just go with your body cycle. Let's not pretend we have more power than we do.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How did you choose which embryo? You have 6 boys and 3 girls, and you can choose whatever you want.
Yep. Well, they're graded, right? So we have, 4, 5, 6, A, B, that sort of thing. So I think we had, this is me digging into my memory. I think we had 2 of the male blastocysts that were 5AA. So it was down to one of those 2. And at that point, I mean, come on, it's a very subjective thing. Even the embryologists grade them. There's a layer of subjectivity. So because, we had the Porsche mechanic.
Right.
We just turned to him. We're like, dude, like, let's not pretend like we know better than you do. Could you just choose the right one of these? He's like, I got you.
So you're having a boy. You're having a boy.
And saw the ultrasound. We did the cardiac sort of ultrasound, the anatomy stuff yesterday.
Okay.
Super cool. Watch his little heart. His heart's like what at this point,
Yeah.
half an inch, right? And super cool.
Yeah, because she's almost 6 months pregnant now, right?
Correcto.
Yeah.
24 weeks and
24.
3 days.
How is the pregnancy? So she went once, implantation went fine. Did she respond okay to that? Like she just sounds
Yep.
like she's gonna
Went
battle
great.
axe it. Okay.
Yeah.
And pregnancy?
First month, we had a couple of the very traditional things, which I'm sure will bore the hell out of your audience, but I'll say, which is there was one time just driving home from dinner. Why are you crying? I don't know. Okay, got it. I was warned this would happen. As long as it's not me,
We're
okay.
good.
Right? Exactly. I'm in
Yeah.
the clear. Um, can't stand the smell of chicken. I need to leave. Somebody on that side of the restaurant ordered chicken. I need to go.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, I can only eat chicken.
Yeah.
Please get
Yeah.
me right.
So
Okay.
normal.
Right. Exactly. So there
Okay.
was some of that. The first month was a little first 2 or 3 months were a little there were a couple of those little moments. I remember she had to go to Pittsburgh for work
Mm.
and she boarded and the guy next to her was eating like smelly beef jerky and she just vomited into the air sickness bag.
Yep.
I learned that if you vomit before the boarding doors closed, they just deplane you. There's no questions asked. It's just like, you got to go. They
Oh
don't
my
want to
gosh.
explore. Do you have COVID? Do you have this? Do you have that? They don't even want to know. They're just like, you vomited. You go. She's like, I think I'm pregnant. I'm 2 months into it. They're like, it's just protocol. Sorry. So she
Oh,
missed her meeting, in Pittsburgh. Her dad had to do it, virtually over Zoom or whatever. And it was so early in the pregnancy, we weren't talking about it. Because, everyone says, who knows how it's going to go? Don't
right.
talk too early. Da, da, da. So she couldn't be like, hey, guess what? I'm pregnant. And the smell of the beef jerky got me. She was just like, I missed my flight because I'm just an idiot. Okay, we'll talk later.
Okay, bye. Okay, so normal. How are you doing with like this was also bizarre and relatively easy. I mean, the pregnancy part, the fertility part, that all went well. The rest was kind of
Yeah, Jennifer, I'm going to tell you something that'll allow you to understand the story of my entire life.
okay.
My entire life has been some weird lucky thing falls in my lap, like drops in Forrest Gump like out of the blue. And then I work really hard to make it work, like to make the most of it, right? If you ask me at any point in my life, what will you be doing 3 years from now or 5 years from now? I will absolutely tell you the wrong thing. It will not be what I tell you, but it will end up for 3 or 5 years a really great place because I didn't know how to predict like this thing is going to happen. Like this whole thing with Johnny and the IVF, who knew the whole thing with the cryo tips, moving to Texas, well, no idea. But I love it. Like my father, who is not close with my brother, who has 2 daughters, he's gonna get to actually be a grandfather who plays with his kid. Like he came to the ultrasound yesterday with us, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
have that
Yeah.
experience of like sitting on the sofa as the little guy crawls on his head and pulls his ears and stuff like that. I think he's really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think he is. He's totally looking forward to it. So there are a lot of things that came up that I wouldn't have predicted if you asked me 5 years ago, including the whole IVF weirdness, the cryo
Mhm.
problem. Wouldn't predict it, but yeah, very lucky.
You ready for the birth?
If I said yes, would I sound like the biggest idiot ever? I mean, no,
Well,
absolutely not. Have
I
I watched the
yeah,
videos, met a good
done
OBGYN that would really
everything.
do all the things? Yes. Will it be shocking and new? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So you're
hey,
ready.
other people have done it, so I figure it's doable, right?
It's doable. Yeah, but I just love your kind of philosophy about like this is gonna fall on my lap. I'm gonna do the best that I can, and how exciting that you were able to make
I'll tell
this
you,
choice.
if we had kids 5, 6 years ago, Laura and I would not be in the place we are of like totally understanding that you can plan all you want, you can do this, blah blah blah. Your wedding's going to be in March 2020. And at a certain point, it's like, you know what? This is what's going to go. How do we just be happy with this and make the best of it?
Mhm.
So yes, 5 years ago, I would have been like probably in a more stressed out state. A lot of, you and I haven't touched upon this a lot, but a lot of what I've been focused on is, hey, every single friend of mine has told me you're going to have to be if you want to get things done with your job, if you and Laura are like going to be great parents, but you have to do stuff, you're going to have to learn extreme focus. You're going to learn how to be very efficient with what you do, no wasted time, blah, blah. And, the entire company that I run is around that. So that's something where I'm like, oh, this is going to kick in a high gear now. Like, this is not a joke anymore. It's not an abstraction. This is the little guy's coming. And I saw him yesterday with his little hands, his little legs kicking.
That's a great segue, because you already mentioned vice president of DreamWorks and Fox, which like huge accomplishments, and 3-time tech CEO. Right. Okay. So high stress, high hours, like you're saying. When did you start your business and the working app? And I want to start talking about that, because how fascinating that you did that. And now they're right. These parents giving you advice are right. Like when
they
people
all
are
say
like,
the same thing.
Like when people are like, how do you do things? I'm like, use your calendar for everything. If date nights and sex, I don't like, put them on there. I don't care.
I checked your calendar. I know you have to go in 18 minutes, and I don't want to talk about that. That's between you and your husband.
It's date night.
Right.
Like, the thing that you can do the most to be successful, especially if you're running your own business, is to utilize your calendar. I know that that's not sexy and people don't like it. I have working out on my calendar every morning.
Yeah.
Do I need it to remind me? No, I need it to be a priority. And so that's why it's there.
It's a great productivity principle.
Correct. So I've obviously cyberstalked you as much as possibly can. And
nice.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I call it social networking, but yeah, as you wish.
Okay. Yeah, no, whatever, however we want to say it. When did you start that? Because how fascinating that in this new phase of your life, that's what everybody's telling you.
And this is what I'm talking about. My life is this weird thing of like, stuff falls in my lap and I'm like, oh, okay, I could do something with this, right?
Okay.
And like, how you're going to laugh. This is not related, but it's kind of fun, is how I got into film was not wanting to be in film.
Of course not. Right.
My mom and dad were both engineers at IBM in upstate New York, in Poughkeepsie.
Yep. Familiar.
Dad is a hardware engineer, which means designed logic chips, CPUs, right? He's the guy who designed those weird things on the wall with all the lines and they make the chips, right? He has 74 patents to his name. Super good at it. Loved it. Mom was a software engineer. And you know how it is. Like, your mom's a great ice skater. You probably know how to ice skate when you're little, right?
Right.
I was a little code monkey.
Yeah.
Loved it. I would go to the computing center with my mom when she was working her master's, and I would get to submit little jobs, like tagging on her, whatever she would run, and that was super cool to me. So when I went to USC, I was a Watson Scholar from IBM, right? Which meant they helped pay for my school and they gave me a job. I had a guaranteed job if I wanted it to make money for school. Awesome. So I did that. So I'm in USC, which is arguably the best cinema TV school in the world, right? If not the best, one or two, right?
Right.
So a bunch of friends in the dorm, they're in, aspiring Spielbergs and Lucases. So I developed a creative vocabulary. At the same time, I had an engineering one. And I was in LA when film went digital, when suddenly computers were powerful enough to manipulate a movie in RAM and store it, right? Which had not been true before.
Holy cow.
I got super lucky. There was like, hey, kid, you in the chorus line, you speak engineer, you speak creative, step forward, come here for a moment. Can you dance? Like that was kind of my moment. And I was like, oh, so my backdoor into film was I could produce digital effects, right? Computer generated parts of movies. And I got to work with all these top tier directors. I worked with Cameron on True Lies, with Mel on Braveheart, with Woody Allen, with Jim Jarmusch, with Fincher on Seven, with all these guys. I produced the digital effects for Independence Day. We won the Academy Award for the visual effects on that.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, it helps your career, It's just,
just a little.
Just a little bit. But was it when I started doing Independence Day with Roland and Dean, was it, oh, this science fiction movie shall be the one? Oh, it was this B movie at Fox that they were like the scrappy guys who had done Stargate and like, hey man, we got 73 million to make this whole thing. How can we do this cheaply in the computer? Can help us? And it worked out, and that, of course, you have an Academy Award. I mean, this is the team. I produced the digital effects. There are people who
Right.
did the pyrotechnics, people who did the model. There's a lot of people involved, right? So I'm not taking credit for it, but I'm just saying being part of that was a great thing for my little career.
Holy
So
cow.
that's how I started my first company, because Roland Dean, the director and producer and writer, and I, we got along really well. And they said, let's start a company together. And that was the first company I founded. We raised about 15 million to do computer generated images, imagery.
Wow.
And that we ended up selling 4 years later to 6 multiple. Investors were happy. When you're in your 20s, you think you're smarter than you are, and you're like invincible and good looking. So I was like, oh my God, I sold my first company in my 20s. This is all so easy. Not so easy, we learned later, right? No. But that was it. Like the whole thing with the fertility journey, it's a lot of just having dinner with Johnny. Johnny's like, I love her. I'll give you guys a free cycle. Oh, okay.
How wild.
Yeah. And I mean, bad stuff has happened to me, but let's be honest, I am super lucky. Like I have all my limbs. I've got a great wife. I have a baby coming. I have a job that I do now that I am more proud of this. Like when my kids get to the age where they're like, what does daddy do? This is the thing I'm going to tell them. Not, hey man, I did the Wolverine and Die Hard 5. And you know what I mean? Did those change the world in any meaningful way? No. But this I'm actually proud of. So that's a lot of why, I'm doing what I'm doing this year is like, how can I do I think a lot about the world I'm handing off to them. We all are collectively handing off to them. Not like I'm universally powerful, but like every day you kind of vote. It's not like in November you vote. Every day you vote for the kind of world you want. It's how you treat the people around you. You treat the checkout girl at the supermarket. You treat the valet, you treat your neighbors. Like you vote in all these little ways every day about what should the world be like. And you can be an asshole, or you can be compassionate, or you can be however you feel that moment. And they sort of create something, because then those people go off there into their worlds. And maybe from your interaction, they feel a little bit better. So they're nicer than they would be. Or maybe they're more pissed off than they would be. You cut them off at the red light. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what it is, but you affect the world. You vote every day.
Right.
I want to live in a world where people are respectful, where people are dicks to each other. And I was thinking, what can I do to help people so that the world that my kids inherit will be maybe 0.1% better than it would normally be. And that's a big driving thing for me now, which I would not have said that in my film career or earlier in my tech career, because I was very focused on like just, the matter at hand, the next movie, the next script, the next thing. Sorry, that was long. I'm off the soapbox. It's back to you.
I love it. So it's Sukha. Am I pronouncing that right?
Sukha, it means good place. It means like self-fulfillment, like happiness.
And it's an app that helps you with your focus.
Yeah.
I was so excited when I pulled the information up and watched your YouTube videos. And
oh, cool. Thank you.
I was, because I feel like I think a lot of people are touchy-feely, especially in maternal health, where I'm working, end of life health. And I'm more logic and visual. And so I'm like, no, you need to use your calendar. And when I saw your information, I was like, oh my gosh, someone who gets me. Like
maybe you attracted me into your world.
Who knows? But I mean, I feel like take all your touchy-feely stuff and just set it aside. That's great. That's how you'll work your business and work with people and love what you do. But to make it run well, you need to do this, or all the touchy-feely in the world is not going to keep you on track with your productivity or what's important or your overwhelm.
Yes.
When my kids were younger, I used to look around the house every single night and think, what 3 things do I want to get done tomorrow?
You have so many good productivity principles. That's another good one. The calendar and the time blocking is great.
Yeah. Time block.
See, you don't need me. You should do this episode on your own. I'm going to go have another rambler. Okay.
You basically took some of the loose ends that I have made work through my life and put them together in a very concise, directed way.
Can I pick up on that? Because what you said is you teed up the perfect thought about what I'm doing, which is there is a concept of flow states, which I know you know what it is because you come from a medical background and all that. Not everyone listening does. So I'm going to take 30 seconds to just set the table, okay? Which is, there's a guy, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, this Hungarian psychologist, and he had a thesis where he's like, these high performers in various fields, athletes, inventors, artists, they seem to do their great work in these states of high concentration. And they all talk about it in a similar way. There's something there. How do they do it? And then he, like Prometheus, was like, when I can figure out how they do it, how do I just bring the fire down to everyone else? Mm-hmm. Right. So he wrote the seminal book on this, which is how it's called flow states, because he wrote a book called Flow. And he said, after studying them, there are some key principles how they do this. And I think the best metaphor I can come up with is it's like if you're paddling on the river, your own energy moves you forward. But if you're smart, you align with the river and it magnifies how quickly you move there, right? I experienced this before I knew what the term flow was on a flight from Austin to San Francisco, where I had to do some designs. It was an Alaska flight and the Wi-Fi was out. The plane took off and immediately landed. And I thought, oh my God, like a tire fell off or the engine has problems. We're landing in DFW. Like this was like a 10-minute long flight. No, Mr. Puri, it was over 3 hours. I had no concept of time, but my designs were done. I couldn't tell you if the drink cart came by. And I was like, what just happened? Later, as we become smarter about this, it was like, that was a flow state. We just kind of focused in, knocked it out. I got to SFO. I didn't have to run to the hotel to like finish the designs for tomorrow to show my team. I was like, I'm going to go to dinner. This is great. Right. And what you just said, to bring it all back to what you just said, led me to read a lot of stuff by the smart people. Mm-hmm. Smart people have been examining how to work well for a very, very long time. So you read the books by Cal Newport, by Clear, by Near, and there's a lot of commonality in there. And what I thought is could I take all of these principles and put them into one play button? And in the morning, I would click that play button. It would give me beautiful focus music, like flow music to help me like block out the world. My websites would be blocked. If I opened Facebook or YouTube or CNN or something, there'd be a little pop-up that just said, Stephen, do you really need, to do this? Do you want to be intentional? And just gave me the opportunity to be like, oh, actually, you know what? I'd rather finish earlier and not watch that YouTube video now than like drag my day out. And I'll tell you the biggest pain for me, because this was like necessity is the mother of invention. Pain was the mother of this invention, was that cold start problem of Jennifer, tomorrow at 9 a.m., I'm going to get going. I got to do so-and-so today. And at 9:15, I'd find myself maybe scrolling or returning emails that didn't need to be returned or something. Mm-hmm. It was really procrastination. And I just want to build something that made it really like easy for me to get going in the morning. It made me feel healthier and better. And now I'm obviously with a child coming, as we talked about, all my friends have been like, dude, every second is precious. Yeah. When the child is asleep or whatever, you're going to need to be super efficient with your time if you want to continue running your business as well as hopefully I do. And that's what I want to do is say, like, if I only have this amount of time of the day, I want it to be like Superman. So that's what I'm doing.
I think you captured two things really well. First is that I think human beings' biggest desire is to be seen. Mm-hmm. And you do that really well because we pre-talked, we pre-gamed in this meeting, and you are really great at seeing the person you're talking with and making that feel very intentional. Mm-hmm. So I love that that's part of this because you want to pass it on. And another thing I think is really a struggle for people is staying very present in what they're doing right now and not all of the, I mean, I can tell you, I block out my calendar for everything. Yep. And it's very hard to stay singularly focused on that one thing. And you took both those concepts, wildly different, and merged them.
I so appreciate you saying that. I'll tell you something we just launched recently, which is going back to the calendar. Mm-hmm. We built a way in which you can click and link your Google Calendar. Mm-hmm. And when you have a meeting coming up, the little assistant in Sukha will say, hey, you have a meeting in 5 minutes. Like, start to wrap up. So it just lets me go, I'm not going to miss anything. Like, I don't have to continually be like, oh my God, do I have something I need to do right now? If you live by your calendar as you and I do, it's really important to me that I know, oh, I have a 1 o'clock podcast. And at 12:55, my assistant's like, you have a meeting in 5 minutes. So I don't have to look at my calendar. I can be deep in my work, not continually flipping around doing what should I be doing next. And it allows me just to have that presence of mind to go, hey man, I've got an hour right now. How can I do like 2 hours worth of work in 1 hour by just going deep on this? And my assistant will tell me what it's like that. So the calendar integration has turned out to be a big hit. For that reason, people were either missing meetings because they were deep in concentration, or they're continually distracted thinking like, what do I have to do next? Because they didn't have it, that notice, which I guess you could do with a timer on your phone, but I don't know if everyone does that.
I don't think people take the time. I use my timer also. And sticky notes. I use sticky notes because I know if I need more than 3 things at the store, I have to write it in a note. I will not remember more than 3 things. Yeah. I know that about myself. And so
that's kind of universally true. That's not just
I believe that. Yeah. But like I own it. And I'm like, hey, I have 4 things. You need to remember 2 and I need to remember 2. And let's go to the store together. Or I have to make a note. So I write down notes because of that. When you have several meetings and you're bouncing around, I don't want to lose what I'm wrapping up and jump into this other thing and then have to think, oh my gosh, what was that? Because I'm going to say that. What was that thing?
Here's another thing is the energy it takes to hold things in short-term memory takes energy away, not only from your brain during the day, but in that moment with what else your brain can do. And the Zeigarnik effect talks a little bit about this, about how you can capture things and how you sort of like balance your brain energy of what you're holding in your mind. So dropping stuff into your calendar or on a sticky note or whatever it is, with us, it's the task list, which you can just drop stuff in your task list. And it's like, put it there. Stop trying to remember you have to write your TPS report. Just put it there. It'll be there. Good. And then your brain doesn't have to burn energy going, remember.
Yeah, I won't. I will not. I will sticky note it. I was going to ask you, so what is your sticky note? Because I know you have to have one. It's a task list.
Yep.
Because I have to dump it. So it's great that like, I don't even know that's a thing, but it's a thing. Can you integrate more than one calendar?
We're about to launch that. I did not know that people use so many calendars. That was a surprise when we launched that. People loved it. And by people, I mean, members of our community.
Right.
But it was like, oh, I have 3 calendars. My work calendar is like, oh,
yes, okay. Mine have to talk to each other.
Building that. By the time this is released, I hope it's launched.
Well, it's released today.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be launched today. Soon.
And it's $10 a month. Like Netflix went up to $25. That was ridiculous. So,
oh my God, we should charge $25 because we'll get your life moving forward more than Netflix.
I had another question. Now it's gone because I didn't write it down.
See?
Yeah.
I
know.
Talk to Stephen about.
I didn't have it, and so I didn't use it. Oh, I know what it was. So I also block out time. I did the 75 hard challenge a few years ago. And in that challenge, it's mostly, you think it's mostly physical, but it's mostly mental. And so, you do 2 workouts a day, you drink a gallon of water a day, you're tracking all these things. One of them is reading 10 pages of a book a day, which was one of the most attractive parts of it because reading was something I loved, but I wasn't finding the time to do. And since I did that 4 years ago, I have maintained reading. So I will block out like my 10-minute block, my 10-minute breaks, water cooler breaks. I read a book. So I think
that's awesome.
Okay. Because there are things that can be priorities where maybe my brain is just, I've been in that flow state. I've written my stickies. I've done a lot. I know I'm due for a break and I just need to check out and do something that's fulfilling for me.
Okay. So are you familiar with the Pomodoro technique? And if not, we can talk about it. Okay.
Yes, talk.
Italian guy, and it's called Pomodoro, which means tomatoes, most of you know, because he came up with using a kitchen timer that looked like a tomato that had a twisty top on the tomato, right? So that's how it got its name. And his concept was, it seems like a healthy way to interact with your brain and in general with your energy. Work 25, take a 5-minute break. Work 25, 5-minute break. Okay. You repeat this cycle a few times and take a longer break, right? So we built that into Sukha, the website, right? Where you can work for 25 and then on your 5-minute break, I don't have to read a book, but we offer you options where we're like, hey, go drink a glass of water. You get 5 points for just saying, hey man, I drank water. Go for a walk. You get 15 points. There are a couple of videos if you want to stretch at your desk, which I really need. Like I love yoga.
I do too.
I can tell when I've done a long session, I'm like, I just even need to stand here and just bend over and like stretch side to side and do that sort of thing. Um, Also breathing. Sometimes just doing a breathing meditation. So for each of these, a little modal, a little thing pops up in the middle of your screen and says, do you want to do one of these? And you can click it and it's like, oh, okay, here's a breathing video for a minute. Enjoy, right? But we could add read a book. I don't know how many points you get for read a book.
I don't know either, but I tend to block things in hour increments. And so I would get that 10 minutes, right?
There you go.
That makes me so excited. I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
And you also have playlists.
Yeah, music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because guess what? I have a bunch of friends who are film composers.
Oh.
And they have
right?
time on their hands. Like,
yeah.
You know, so there is research. I'm sure a bunch of people here are like, oh, yeah, I know about flow music. Like, it seems like for most people, 60 to 90 beats per minute, certain key signatures, ambient, non-vocal, repeating music really helps them get there. Some people, yes, they have their 90s gangster rock thing or their
every once in a while, you need to pull that in, right?
There are outliers, right? So I'm just talking like there's the middle of the road. So I have over 1,000 hours of music that's divided into like lo-fi beats. I think we have 3 different lo-fi playlists. Mm-hmm. There's, up tempo, there's down tempo, there's all sorts of stuff. And then probably the weirdest one I didn't see coming was an audio engineer that I know was in Kathmandu like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
It rained. He was like, it sounded really cool. He took his nice audio equipment and recorded 2 hours of rain in Kathmandu. We threw it up as a playlist. I just called it Himalayan Dream Rain. Can I tell you how popular that playlist is? And it's just rain in the Himalayas. So we launched a recording of surf in Cyprus, a stream in Japan, Emerald Lake in Canada.
That's beautiful.
A couple others. There's like, we call them soundscapes or naturescapes. They're not even like music. They're just playlists that are like soundscape. Oh, we have a coffee shop in Vienna, Austria. Because so many people said, I don't go to a coffee shop anymore. I've got kids. I can't really do what I used to do when I was a young writer. Didn't go to coffee shops.
Yes, that's how I wrote.
So we have bloggers. We have screenwriters and stuff. And I'm just laughing. It's just the sound of like espresso machines and coffee clanking and people moving around a coffee shop. But it sounds like you're in a coffee shop in Vienna, Austria. So kind of fun.
I love your story and how fun you are.
This time has flown by.
I know. I want to have you back on at like the end of the year so we can talk about birth and transition.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. I'm sure I'll be shell-shocked. I'm like, Jennifer, I had no idea what I was in for.
Fly me down. I'll be your doula. It's all fine. Thank you so much for sharing your story. What a wild ride. I have loved having this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me on. I hope this is helpful for some people. And I would love to give you the postpartum podcast.
I definitely want that. Thank you.